So let's talk about something that's been a shadow in the digital world for a while now: ransomware. You've probably heard the term thrown around, but what does it actually mean? Put simply, it's digital kidnapping. Imagine someone breaks into your house, puts an unbreakable lock on your front door, then demands money for the key. That's what ransomware does, but with your digital files. It's malicious software, malware. It can get onto your computer, your phone, or a whole company network, then it encrypts everything. Photos, documents, videos, work projects, all scrambled into unreadable code. Once encrypted, you're locked out of your digital life. Then comes the ransom note. Your files have been encrypted. To get them back, pay us. Payment is demanded in cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. Alright, so how did this all work before things got super advanced? The classic ransomware attacks, the ones that made headlines over the last decade, followed a pretty straightforward playbook. Think of it like casting a really wide net and just hoping to catch some fish. The main way in was often through something called a phishing email. You'd get an email that looked legitimate, maybe from your bank, a delivery service, or even a colleague. It would have an attachment or a link, and the message would urge you to open it. Urgent invoice. Click here to track your package. The moment you clicked, the malware would download and start its dirty work. These early versions of ransomware were pretty dumb in a way. They weren't very targeted. The attackers would send out millions of these phishing emails to random addresses, and it was purely a numbers game. If even a tiny fraction of a percent of people fell for it, that was still thousands of infections and potentially thousands of payouts. The ransomware itself was also kind of one-size-fits-all. It would get in and just start encrypting everything it could find using a standard encryption algorithm. It didn't really analyze its environment or try to be subtle. It was loud, fast, and messy. You knew you were hit when the ransom note popped up. We saw some massive examples of this with attacks like WannaCry back in 2017. It spread like wildfire across the globe, hitting over 200,000 computers in 150 countries. It famously crippled parts of the UK's National Health Service. WannaCry exploited a vulnerability in older versions of Windows. Security researchers could pick apart the malware, find flaws, and sometimes even release free decryption tools. So, while classic ransomware was definitely damaging, it was a constant cat-and-mouse game where the defenders had a fighting chance. The criminals had to constantly create new versions to stay ahead. Now let's get to the topic of today. What happens when you take that classic ransomware playbook and give it a massive intelligence boost? That's where artificial intelligence, or AI, comes in. And honestly, this is where things start to feel a lot less like a simple crime and a lot more like something out of a sci-fi thriller. We've been talking about AI for years, mostly in the context of phones, smarter voice assistants, or self-driving cars. It's about teaching machines to learn, adapt, and make decisions on their own. But like any powerful tool, it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. And cybercriminals are starting to use it for very bad things. So, what is AI-powered ransomware? It's not just a new version of the old malware, it's a whole new category of threat. Instead of a static program that just executes a pre-written set of commands, this is malware that can think for itself in a way. It uses machine learning algorithms to analyze its environment, learn from it, and adapt its strategy in real time. It's like the difference between a simple wind-up toy and a sophisticated robot that can map out a room, avoid obstacles, and find the most efficient path to its target. This is ransomware that doesn't just cast a wide net, it hunts. The introduction of AI completely changes the game because it automates the smart parts of a cyber attack that used to require a skilled human hacker. In the past, a really sophisticated targeted attack on a specific company would take a lot of time and manual effort. A hacker would have to spend weeks or months doing reconnaissance and finding vulnerabilities. AI can now automate that entire process. It can be programmed with a goal, say, find the most valuable data, encrypt the most valuable data with the least chance of being caught, and it can figure out how to achieve that goal on its own. This is a fundamental shift from offense versus defense to an offense that learns. Traditional antivirus software is based on recognizing known threats or suspicious behaviors, but an offense that learns is a different problem. Alright, let's break down the specifics. How exactly does AI give ransomware this massive upgrade? There are a few key ways. First up is smarter infiltration. Remember those generic phishing emails? An AI can do so much better. It can crawl social media, company websites, public records to craft a perfectly tailored phishing email. It can learn the writing style of a CEO from their public posts, then send an email to the finance department that looks and sounds exactly like it came from the boss. This is called spear phishing. AI makes it possible to do it on a massive scale with a much higher success rate. Second, there's autonomous movement within a network. An AI-powered version is the opposite of clumsy. It can enter a system and just wait. It can quietly observe the network traffic, learning what's normal and what's not. It can identify who the key users are, where the most valuable data is stored, and map out the entire network architecture. It can move slowly and carefully, using legitimate system tools so it doesn't trigger any alarms. It's like a silent spy, gathering intelligence before it ever makes a move. Third, and this is a big one, is adaptive encryption. An AI might learn that the most critical files are backed up every night at 2 a.m. The AI could then choose to launch its encryption attack at 2:05 a.m., right after the backup has completed. This encrypts not just the live files but also the most recent backup, making recovery much harder. It prioritizes the most valuable assets to maximize pressure on the victim to pay. Finally, there's the defense evasion. Security software looks for patterns or signatures. AI-powered ransomware can constantly change its own code, polymorphic code, so it never looks the same way twice. What about a threat that can mimic normal user activity so perfectly that it becomes invisible to security systems? This is the new reality we're facing. AI isn't just making ransomware more efficient, it's making it more intelligent, more evasive, and frankly, a lot more frightening. Let's make this real. Imagine a person, let's call her Sarah. Sarah is a freelance graphic designer, portfolio folder on her laptop, client contracts folder, current project files. One day she gets an email. Looks like it's from a potential new client from a networking site. The email references their conversation. It includes a link called a design brief. She clicks the link. A generic error page appears. She assumes the link is broken and moves on. An AI-powered malware has just been installed on her laptop. For a week, it only watches. The AI logs everything. It sees she uses design software every day. It maps her project folders. It notices her external drive is plugged in only on Friday evenings. The AI builds a complete profile of her digital life. It waits for the perfect moment. On a Friday night, minutes after she plugs in the external drive to start a backup, the ransomware strikes. It doesn't just encrypt the laptop hard drive, it hits the backup drive first, corrupting saved work. Then it moves to her main project folders, encrypting file after file. A ransom note appears on her screen, personalized. Sarah, your project files for client X, client Y have been encrypted. Backup drive encrypted too. The demanded amount is calculated to be just low enough to tempt her to pay. She faces a terrible choice: pay with no guarantee or lose her livelihood. The devastating efficiency of a personalized, AI-driven attack. A personalized AI attack can be devastating for a sole proprietor. It knows what matters, and it hits there first. Minutes later, her business is locked. Now scale that up from one person to a company with hundreds or even thousands of employees. The potential for damage is astronomical. Let's imagine a mid-sized logistics company. They handle shipping and supply chains for dozens of other businesses, tracking shipments, managing inventory, processing payments. An AI ransomware agent gets into their network, maybe through a super convincing spear phishing email. Once inside, the AI begins silent reconnaissance on a corporate scale. The AI spends weeks, maybe months, mapping the corporate network. It learns the data flow and identifies the crown jewels: customer database, financial servers, proprietary software. It moves laterally through the network using stolen credentials to appear legitimate, never tripping standard security alarms. It's patient, it's methodical, it hunts a single point of failure. It even finds where backups are stored, on-site, in the cloud. When ready, the AI executes a synchronized, multi-stage attack. It targets off-site cloud backups, then on-site backups, then critical systems. Only after recovery is eliminated does it launch the main encryption, hitting logistics software, financial servers first. Shipments stop, invoices can't be sent. The business grinds to a halt within minutes. A ransom note appears on every computer in the network. The AI may demand millions, precisely calculated. Pay us, or we delete your data. We will leak customer information, we will leak trade secrets. This is double extortion. It puts immense pressure on the company. For a business, this isn't just an IT problem, it's an existential threat. The potential for damage is astronomical. Operations, reputation, customer trust, survival. This is the devastating power of AI-driven ransomware at scale. So, who really needs to worry about this? The honest answer is, pretty much everyone. In the era of classic ransomware, the main targets were large organizations with deep pockets, or individuals who clicked the wrong link. With AI, the target list expands and becomes much more specific. AI can automate highly targeted attacks. Criminals can go after a much wider range of victims. Big targets, small targets, individuals are still on the hook, arguably more so. Think about doctors, lawyers, accountants, any professional holding sensitive client data. AI can identify these high-value individuals and craft attacks for them. It's not random, it's algorithmic selection. The attack on Sarah shows a sole proprietor can be a prime target. Businesses of all sizes remain targets. Small and medium-sized businesses are particularly vulnerable. They often have valuable data, customer lists, financial records, and may lack cybersecurity resources. AI ransomware finds these soft targets and exploits them. For some businesses, an attack can be company-ending. They may not have cash to pay or resources to rebuild. Criminals see them as easy, profitable victims, but the most frightening targets are critical infrastructure: hospitals, power grids, water treatment, transportation. System shutdowns here can be life or death. AI ransomware could learn a hospital's operating patterns, then shut down patient records and equipment at peak times. Attackers know these organizations can't afford downtime. They'll likely pay quickly. The stakes are getting higher for everyone. If attackers can automate targeting, anything and anyone that holds value is on the hook. Small businesses, professionals, critical infrastructure, none are immune. Okay, so this all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not hopeless. While the offense is definitely getting smarter, there are still fundamental things you can do to level up your defense. Cyber hygiene matters more than ever. The first and most important rule is still the 3-2-1 backup strategy. Keep at least 3 copies of your important data on 2 different types of media, with 1 copy off-site and offline. That offline backup is key. If it's always connected, ransomware can encrypt it. Offline = physically disconnected and immune to live attacks. Unplug drives after backups. Be incredibly skeptical of everything. Treat every email, text, and link with suspicion. AI phishing can look perfect. Grammar won't save you. If you get an unexpected urgent request from a colleague or boss, don't click. Verify through another channel. Call them or message on a different platform. It's a hassle, but it's one of your strongest defenses. Keep your software updated. All of it. Many attacks start by exploiting known holes in outdated software. Developers release patches, enable automatic updates to close doors. Think of it as fixing broken windows in your digital house. Finally, look beyond traditional antivirus. The new frontier is AI-powered security. These systems use machine learning to monitor for anomalous behavior. They learn what normal looks like on your system or network and flag deviations. It's AI fighting AI, detecting actions, not names. That's a more robust defense against adaptive, smart attackers. Basic advice: back up your data, be suspicious of links, keep your software updated, is now essential for digital survival. We can be smarter. We must assume we are all potential targets. Staying informed and staying vigilant, that's your best defense. Be safe out there. So here's the final take. The emergence of AI-powered ransomware isn't just another incremental step. It represents a fundamental shift in the landscape. We're moving from brute force attacks to intelligent, adaptive threats that can think, learn, and strategize. Tools for creating AI-driven malware are becoming more accessible, and criminal organizations are investing heavily. They see it as the next frontier for profit. The days of spotting phishing because of a typo are ending. The new threats will be subtle, personal, and incredibly convincing. This isn't a reason to panic, but it is a wake-up call. We must be smarter and more vigilant than ever. Basic advice: back up your data, be suspicious of links, keep your software updated, is now essential. The race between AI-powered offense and AI-powered defense is on. It will define the future of cybersecurity. Staying informed and staying vigilant, that's your best defense. The same AI that can advance medicine, science, and daily convenience is also creating weapons. We must level up our mindset and defenses. Stay informed, monitor, patch, back up, and don't be complacent. Ultimately, this is just the beginning. Be safe out there. Subscribe for updates and keep learning. The future of cybersecurity depends on all of us.